When I was 17 years old, I had just gotten out of, basically, I was improving myself when I was 16 years old, solving all my problems. I had anxiety. I quickly skyrocketed my confidence, and I got out of a lot of bad habits that I was doing when I was a lot younger. So I'd hit 17 and my life's looking great. I'm improving myself, like looking at different kind of self-improvement hacks like schedules and all that. And around this time, I had experienced quite a lot of complacency traps. I had met this woman and she's going to play a big role in the complacency part because, she just contributed to it. And I basically I hit a brick wall because of all these things. I hit a brick wall because I got into a relationship because that was one of the goals that I wanted to achieve back then. And that's a terrible goal. It's not a good goal. And I basically thought I'd accomplished everything that I could have done. But here's the thing, I had ran into like a brick wall and I got myself stuck in a rut. Everyone experiences this once in their life. Everyone experiences ruts in their lives, okay? They're like, I don't know what to do. They don't have motivation to pursue anything. And that's exactly how I was back then. So I'd experienced the rut because of these problems, okay? And the first one you must understand is complacency. Complacency was something that I ran into because I thought I had accomplished everything. Okay, I'd like, my goals are all done. I'm confident. I'm no longer anxious. My bad habits are gone. No, it doesn't work like that. You have to keep pursuing goals. And with me, I didn't have the motivation to pursue those goals. And what kept me in this complacency was the woman that I was dating at the time, because it tied into the goal of, I want a girlfriend because I hadn't had one yet. And that's going to cause a problem because, first of all, the reason why it's not a very good goal is because what type of woman are you actually with? If she is kind of not a very feminine woman, then the relationship's not going to be that good. And with that goal, once it makes you complacent, the relationship's not going to last very long. So you shouldn't have that as a goal. It's not a very good goal. So she basically put me in this rut in the first place, as well as my own motivation to do goals, right? I was falling behind in my education because before then I was getting really good grades, but now I got a D on math for some reason. I have to repeat it. And I had no motivation to do anything. So how do you solve complacency? Complacency is pretty much when you have no motivation to do anything because you think you're done. You think you're complete, but you're not actually complete. You need to find your purpose, essentially. And it was very hard for me to find my purpose, okay? It was very hard for me to kind of get out of the rut and to think, okay, this is what I can actually do now. Because I kept coping, going like, everything's done, I'm gonna be lazy. And this hurt me emotionally. Basically, I essentially had created the good times, and the good times are creating a weak version of me. So what does this mean? This means that I was dodging all these different good goals because I was too lazy to solve them. And then once the pain threshold had hit me, I got up. Now let me explain that for a minute. Pain threshold. You most likely will get out of your rut when you actually hit the pain threshold where it's like, okay, I don't want to feel this bad emotion anymore. I want to get up. In my case, I had a breakup and then I had a relapse. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And by the way, I had a streak of 341 days on no fun. And then I just went like that, relapsed. And that point was my pain threshold. And the pain threshold snapped me back out into motivation because I was like, I don't want to feel that feeling anymore. What you can do is that you can kind of make your first goal being like, I don't want to feel complacent anymore. I want to feel a lot better. I want to feel happier. I want to feel like I'm progressing in life, so I'm going to start off with this one goal, and you have to pursue it. And with that purpose, you need a strong why, okay? You need a strong why for your goal, okay? The reason why you're complacent in the first place is because you don't have the motivation from the why, okay? You have this goal where it's like, maybe I should strengthen myself up mentally so I can stand up for myself. But your why isn't strong enough. It needs to be something like, okay, just in case in the future someone actually attacks me, I can stand up and kind of show honor in a way. You need a strong why. Without that why, you're not going to feel like doing the goal at all, that's why certain things feel harder to do in the first place, because you're like, okay, this goal, right, they're telling me to do my schoolwork, but I don't feel like doing it because I don't see any use in it. The why has the use, so you need a strong why. So that's why you get complacent in the first place, because you have no goals. Now, sometimes your focus is being interrupted. Your dopamine is very important for chasing goals and pursuing them. This is why you need to eliminate bad habits. I'm talking about social media abuse, gaming, drugs, adult content. You know what adult content is. And content usage, such as YouTube and Netflix. You can eliminate these through basically deloading them. I'm going to get onto that soon, but The reason why you want to get rid of these things is because they distract your brain. Every time you abuse social media, this is how your dopamine receptors work, okay? This is the graph. There we go. You know how a graph looks like. And whenever you go to pursue a task, the dopamine goes up and then down below baseline. And you're in action mode, right? And then once you've done the goal, it goes back up and back to baseline. And if it's a difficult task, the baseline actually increases. But with social media abuse, you're constantly spiking that dopamine, so the baseline actually goes down. So you feel like doing less work. It's harder for you to go into goal pursuit mode. So you need to eliminate this so your dopamine is actually able to focus on the goals that you're looking for, and thus your complacency will basically decrease as a result. So how do you get rid of these bad habits? You need to deload them one by one, okay? Let's say you have all of these. Focus on one at a time. Now I'm going to focus on gaming. Okay, that's the first one you should focus on. I'm going to decrease the amount of times I play Valorant or whatever. I don't play that game. You need to not focus on the habit, but kind of focus on reducing it in a way, you know? So think of chocolate. This is a good example I like to use. When you're going into the kitchen, you're craving chocolate because it's there. You can clearly see the thing right there, so you're starting to crave it in your mind. It's all about your mind in a way. You can stop yourself from craving chocolate by simply just going like, nah, you know, and giving yourself a purpose to entering in the kitchen, right? I'm going to enter in the kitchen so I can make myself some eggs and some beef, okay, for breakfast. And thus you're more focused on the breakfast instead of, you know, the potential of eating a Mars bar. So with your bad habits, you should kind of have a purpose to avoid that bad habit in the first place by going like, I'm going to get on my computer so I can do some research, instead of I'm going to get on my computer, oh my god, look, it's Roblox, I'm going to load that thing up immediately, you know? But you just need to do it one by one, because if you focus on all of them, it's not going to help. And speaking of focusing on too much, don't focus on too many objectives, okay? The minimum amount of goals you should be focusing on each time is 1 to 2 goals. 3 can work, but it's problematic, okay? The reason why you want to focus on 1 to 2 goals is because here's an example that Alex Hormozy used. He's an entrepreneur, he's a rich dude, he's a great business operator, and he had 7 cups, and those 7 cups are your goals. And then there's the 8th cup, which is your focus, and that cup is full. You can't expect all those cups to be full when you're focusing on all of them at once. If you want to really get an outcome, focus on one goal and fill that cup. Then that cup starts overflowing, you can start using your focus towards other goals, you know? That's how you get your revenue sources. So let's say you have 7 goals, you know, like music, schoolwork, gym, business, whatever. Choose the ones that are important to you. Fitness and business. Okay, go do those 2 goals right now. Think about your macros as well as your business macros, you know? And thus, that will eliminate the complacency because it's all about focus. When you have your focus on too many things, complacency becomes easier to kind of, you know, exist in a way. It becomes easier to inhabit into your life. So with the redirected focus, the complacency reduces itself. So make sure you have written all of those down, okay? And I'm going to explain my complacency story right here. So I already explained how 16 years of age, I just did everything that I wanted to do. I became confident, my bad habits were gone, I started socializing more. And then I'm 17 years old. First of all, I became complacent because I was like, oh, I just got everything done. And then the second part was that this woman came into my life and she basically was like, oh, hello, I'm just going to bump in because I think you're attractive or whatever. I don't know why. And this caused an interruption because she didn't have any good habits. She wasn't, you know, very feminine either. So she wasn't actually supporting. The dynamic wasn't very traditional. It should have been masculine and feminine, but it wasn't. It was depolarized. So what happened is that I became really complacent and I hit up this brick wall in a sense. And for about 6 months, I was depressed and unhappy because I was complacent. I hit a rut in my life. But what happened is that after a terrible 3-month relationship, she broke up with me. Good enough. Thank you. And then after a couple months, I relapsed on October the 7th, which is now a year ago. And this caused me to experience a pain threshold, which is explained in Tony Robbins' book, Awaken the Giant Within. Great book, read it, please. And it's where you hit enough pain for your brain wanting to actually act, in a sense. It gives you this unlimited motivation that actually lasted me like several months because of how powerful it was. So I hit a pain threshold, and suddenly I had a why. I was like, I want to change myself because I don't want to feel this emotion anymore. So I started working ridiculously hard to just stop feeling this emotion. And that got me out of the rut, actually. Literally just hitting a pain threshold. So sometimes living in the rut can get you out of the rut because the emotion overwhelms you. So that's what got me out of the rut, using pain as a motivator. You can use your pain as a motivator, and it's the single greatest motivator ever. I used that throughout this year to avoid complacency, and it works wonders. Works really well. So basically, that's all you have to do, okay? Please subscribe because I'm trying to improve your life, okay?